This Valentine's Day, celebrate the one you love the most with Hallmark cards at Walgreens. Valentine's Day is the best time to send your favorite person a reminder of just how much they mean to you. A Hallmark card is a super simple and beautiful way to say how grateful you are for the love you two share. Don't forget, Valentine's Day is Saturday, February 14th. Visit Walgreens today to find a Hallmark card that shows just how much you love them. Because love lives here.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the hockeythinktank.com, a website for all players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We got another Western Michigan Bronco on the podcast. He grew up in the Los Angeles, California area, won a national championship as a player, then went on to play his college hockey at Western Michigan, played a couple years pro. Now he is back in LA in the youth hockey system there, has won a national championship as a youth coach, also works and runs RAD hockey out there in LA. We have Brett Beebe on the podcast. This one is one you do not want to miss. Pay attention. Like, this was one of the best that we've done, Vex. And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of perspective on youth hockey in this one. It's got such great perspective, such a way about talking about the game and development and just the way and the state that the game is in right now. So I can't wait to get over to this conversation. But before we do, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, Jeffrey, Jehu, Zoolander, Lavecchio. Vex, what's up today, brother?
Man, this was a great pod. I mean, I just got to say, we bring on these Western guys and they knock it out of the park, bro. I mean, we had a good, you and I got the CC, the cousin connection. We used to call it when we play in the tournaments when we were younger. And I feel like we had a little connection, the three of us here with Beebs, the Bieber. Absolutely slayed. I love how he came out of the gates hot with multi-sport athlete he was in California and talked about basketball and how he thinks that really helped him become an elite hockey player. And that's something that you and I have talked about. We've talked about on the podcast. Adam Nicholas and I have talked quite a bit about that, on the podcast and off the podcast, how he uses basketball and different ways that they run basketball plays and things like that and move, with NHL players. And it's something that I've really come to use in the gym with my guys in the off season. I really truly believe that basketball is a great cross training sport for hockey. So we started off hot with that, and then everything he talked about, obviously we really enjoy and agree with the things that he was saying. And I think this is this is one of our best podcasts. I think that just like what he was saying, I think it's great for, more people in the hockey world to be saying these things. And I'm excited for you guys to hear this one.
For sure, man. And a lot of the stuff is stuff we talk about quite a bit on the podcast, but every time you can get a fresh voice, every time you can get somebody new who's saying things in a different way, who has different perspective, who lives somewhere else, who's had different experiences, it goes a long way and validates a lot of the stuff that we believe in, particularly because the way that he's doing it, like, it's working. Mm-hmm. It's working, and doing things the right way is working, which is weird, right? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this was an awesome conversation. I think a lot of people are going to take a lot out of this one, just the perspective of just doing things the right way and developing players, developing people, just the whole system as a whole. And yeah, man, it was awesome.
Yeah. You guys are going to love this one. Really excited for you guys to hear it.
For sure. And it's interesting. Like, I've gotten to talk to so many different people over the past month or so since we've laid out this organization blueprint that we're doing. And like, just getting perspective from people who do things differently but believe in similar things, and like, it just reinvigorates you try to do the best job that you can,
Mhm.
knowing that people are doing things the right way, knowing that there are people out there who are extremely passionate about the things that they're doing, extremely passionate about the development of people and development of kids in the hockey rink. And like like every time I have a conversation like this, and I've had so many of them over the past month and a half or so, like it again, it validates what we're doing, and it just like helps you to just grow your passion even more for making a difference in this game, because Lord knows we need change. Like we need change in this game. It's not going in the right direction.
Right.
And so like having positive people to be able to talk, and especially with our audience and the microphone that we have and the megaphone that we have, with the amount of people that we reach in doing this podcast, these types of conversations are going to change things, because it has to happen. And we talk about this on the podcast. It has to happen on a granular level. Like it has to be one organization at a time doing things the right way. It has to be people stepping outside of maybe what everybody's doing right now and trying something different, and not even necessarily that different, but just tweaking some things. And like that's what it's going to take to change the culture of our game, which we've dedicated our entire lives to and want to see go up in the right direction. And so yeah, like this is one of those that I think is gonna like inspire people who listen to do things the way that they need to be done to create some of that change and create just the betterment of our culture, so our kids can get better in this game.
Dude, 100%. You know, I think the biggest thing is adults have ruined it. Not ruined it, but are ruining it currently with their own egos. And, you know, like it's hard to take your ego out of certain things, but like we always have to come back to like, why are you coaching? Why are you on the board of your organization? Why are you deciding, you know, the schedules for the teams? Why are you helping? Why do you want to be the team manager? It's for the effing kids. All right. It's for the kids. And even though I never want to ever tell anyone you don't have a chance at playing in the NHL or playing pro or getting a scholarship or playing juniors. Like that's not what it's about. But the realization is very, 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 very few are going to make it to those highest levels. Even Division I, even the USHL, OHL, WHL, QMJHL. Very few are going to make that. It doesn't mean that we dissuade them from trying to. But what I want to get at is that we're doing these things and having them play sports because of all of the life lessons that it's going to instill in them to help them make our country better, make the world better, make better people, make more competitive people, just all around better freaking people. And we need to always remember that that is first and foremost our job as adults running a children's sport.
And also
just drop the mic.
On top of it, that's very altruistic of what you're saying, but let's also call the spade here. Like when we talk about playing less games and we talk about investing more of your money in development rather than like that's actually going to make your kid better too. So if the end goal, if your kid has a dream of playing at the highest levels, like stop running them ragged, you know, like it's like what you're talking about.
Yes.
Is so true. We're going to develop better people, but we're also going to develop better hockey players too. The problem is that the way things are going right now, everybody's doing it. I don't want to say the wrong way, but like everybody's
wrong, but the wrong way
too much, and everybody's playing, you know, like, and that's where like it's going to take people again at a community level, at a single organization level, to try and step out of it and do things the way, like, look, so much of the way that youth sports and youth hockey is set up goes against so many of the research-based development principles of how to develop athletes. It's insane how backwards that is. It's literally insane. So this is a conversation that will reinvigorate and restore like the values of what actually makes better hockey players on top of the better people, which at the end of the day, we would argue is the most important thing.
Love it. Hell yes. Let's go. Get it over to this guy. Let him drop some knowledge bombs.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing we do need to say quickly before we do get over to that and our sponsors is that, and again, we said this last podcast, we're going to say it again. We're almost there. Like, we are developing something, Vex and I and a couple other people, that is going to take what we are talking about to the next level. Like, to the next level. And I wish we could say more right now. We can't say more right now. Don't you dare. Don't you do it. But literally in the next couple weeks, like, be on the lookout for some pretty cool announcements that we feel like is going to change the game. Like, literally going to change the game, and we're pumped for it. So, when Vex gets that extra little pep in his step. He's got a little extra pep in his step when it comes to what we're talking about right now, right? Just like a little. What was that?
I'm fired up tonight.
Let's go. Okay, we are going to get over to Brett here in just a second. Before we do want to thank some people who have supported us so much throughout our podcast journey. First is our title sponsor, Gel Sticks. Go to GELSTX.com and get your discount on weight and training sticks by using the coupon code ThinkTank, one word. Pros use them. College teams use them. NTDP uses it. Jeff uses them in their gym. Just a fantastic development tool. If you want to make your shot better, Vex uses them in the gym. They also have golf clubs. They also have lacrosse sticks. Research-based. Awesome product. So go to gelsticks.com today.
Want to thank Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the unbelievable app that allows me to train so many players for hilariously cheap. Talking about trying to do the right things in hockey, all of my online training could be 4 times as expensive. The reason that I do it is to help as many people that I would never be able to work with in person, because there's only so many hours in the day and I can't do more than I already do in the off season. So like, I keep the price super affordable and low, and it's the highest quality of training with videos of me coaching and demonstrating everything. That's the reason that right now I am the current online strength coach for Division I NCAA university, because the program and the app works so well. Same with a D3 team, a USHL team, an NAHL team, NCDC teams, and all these organizations and teams across the country. So Train Heroic, I can't thank you.
By the way, did you not put those videos up on YouTube too?
Oh yeah.
I saw something on the IG, on the gram.
Yeah,
about that.
My whole thing, man, GMBM, bro. I'm wearing the hat. Like, I live it, dude. And so now that I have my basement gym that's like a studio for me to film all my videos, go to gmbm.com, check it out. I am now all the new videos from my basement, because like the sound is great and the lighting, you can see the exercises better. From now on, when I film the new videos for my online training, I will put them all up on my YouTube.
Free.
Yeah, for free, guys. I said this to my Instagram the other day. Instagram that I use, the way that I use it, is the what. I try to show quick new exercises so people can like think outside the box, and what I'm using with NHL, NFL, blue check mark guys, all that type of stuff. As Steph's putting stuff on the screen here, right? That's the what, because nobody would listen to the how, but the YouTube are me actually coaching through them. Literally for free, I'm giving away things that have taken me 20 years to learn and get better every year at how to do things and make them better and more effective and efficient and all those things. So I think the YouTube that I use for that is Ripped Hockey or Rip TH app. But if you go on my Instagram, I'll have it in the bio there, and you can just watch all these videos for free and learn for free, guys. So Train Heroic allows me to do all of that, and I can't thank them enough. I also want to thank Cured Nutrition. Cured Nutrition is a CBD company that I'm with. I'm an athlete with them. I use it twice a day, every single day. My discount code with them is GMBM. You can go to curednutrition.com and you can try any of their stuff with my discount. And if you have any questions, like, I mean this, people DM me all day, every day. And I look at it as my job to help as many people as I can while I'm on this earth. That is what I want to do with my life. And so if you have questions about CBD and could it help you, how could it help you, which product might be best for you, I have people reach out to me all the time. Just reach out to me and just ask me about Cure Nutrition, and I'll hook you up. curenutrition.com, discount code GMBM.
Boom. There we go. Thank you also to Helios Hockey, an unbelievable product that can help with your hockey development. What Helios Hockey is is it is a sensor chip that you put into your shoulder pads and you get real-time feedback. So everything from stride mechanics to a cool hustle score, which the young kids really, really love, just based on your movement on the ice. And the game changer for this one is it pairs up with whatever video you're using, iPad, iPhone, camera, Live Barn, whatever it may be, and it cuts your shifts for you. You get your shifts instantly right after the game. And so what an unbelievable development tool that is. So go to helioshockey.com, and we also have a discount code with them where any Think Tank listener can go to their website and use the discount code Think Tank, one word, and give all new Helios members 20% off their initial 12-month membership. And you will get that sensor like I talked about to put into your shoulder pad for free. So Helios Hockey, great partner. And another great partner is icehockeysystems.com, the best place to go for all your coaching education needs. They have thousands of drills. They have whiteboard explanations from unbelievable hockey people on system structure, hockey development things. There is an opportunity for you to go in there and draw up all of your drills and create a library for yourself. Or we have partnered with them to do an associations platform where you can do this with every single coach in your organization. Think about that. For all the hockey directors or presidents that are listening to this, you have an opportunity to create a library for your entire organization. All the coaches can put in all of their drills, all of their practice plans. Just think about that mom or their dad or that dad that has a 9-to-5 job that has to rush to the rink for their son or their daughter's practice, and how much life could be easier for them by having this product. And so icehockeysystems.com, go there today. Unbelievable product here, and get your association's platform. With that, we also want to thank all of you for continuing to listen to our podcast. Thank you so much. We appreciate every like. We appreciate every comment, every download, every rating, every follow. And we continue to do this and bang these out. Guys, we're like a month and a half away from 300 episodes of doing this. That is absolutely insane. And without the support from you guys and without the growth of our podcast and you continuing to give us this type of feedback and us kind of seeing the impact that we're having on the hockey world, I don't know if we'd be at 300 or even still be doing this. And so we appreciate it so much, guys. So much. This is going to be a podcast conversation that is going to be up there with our most downloaded ever because of the type of conversation and that it was. And we're just really, really thrilled to bring this to you. So without further ado, here we go with Brett Beebe. We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. If you go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you can see all the available lines and all the available odds for all NHL games going on. That's right. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with the code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast out on the West Coast. Is that the best coast? I don't know. They're going to say it's the best coast out on the West Coast. Our East Coast people might not agree, but we got Brett Beebe on the podcast. Brett, how you doing today, man?
Oh, it's good, man. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, another Western Michigan Bronco on here.
Bite on for Western. Yeah, score a goal. That's right.
Onward for the brown and gold.
Let's go.
Oh man, am I gonna have to start singing "Hail to the Victors" or my
Nobody's more of a Bronco fan and supporter than me. I can promise you that. No matter how much anyone else thinks they are, I love it.
Hell yes.
Awesome,
hey, they're
man.
coming here this weekend, man. I talked to Coach earlier and was like, yo, the boys coming out here. You practicing? Let me get on the ice with them. I'm gonna go full gear. They're not even good. He's gonna be like, yeah,
Put the jersey behind you back on.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna smash this thing behind me, put it back on. I'm gonna go out there with the C and try and play in the game.
we set up a midget showcase in Kalamazoo this year. Me and Derek Rail, who's the assistant coach at Little Caesars, and we played together. We set up a midget showcase with 6 of the top 10, 16 AAA teams in the country this year in Kalamazoo, just so that they can make sure that they're getting the top players. So
yes, Steph, hit that horn. We love it.
Gosh,
every time that I've got a stud in the gym, doesn't matter if they're 13, 14, 16, 17, I'm texting them. I'm like, yo, I got a guy. He's got every college calling him. Get on the horn. Let's go. Here's his mom's name. Here's their address. This is his favorite food. All right, let's get this guy.
Well, when I was there, we had 8 Californians on the roster when we beat Michigan for the CCHA championship. So one of our players from our 16 team just committed there. So it came full circle and was really freaking cool.
Wow.
Cool.
Unreal.
Congrats, man.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of guys in the years after I left Western to sign in a 3-letter league you guys probably heard of, starts with an N. And there was like 3 to 5 guys from St. Louis that wound up going to Western after me. So so cool. So cool.
We had the St. Louis, we definitely had the St. Louis and LA crew for sure when we were there. It was awesome.
Pretty cool.
All right,
Topher, on with the show.
With your little love fest here.
Yeah, on with the show. On with the show.
Go on with the Borophyll. Jeez. Well, Brett, we appreciate you coming on, man. And we got so much to ask you. But at the beginning, we always ask our guests that come on how they fell in love with the game. And you got a pretty cool story of how you fell in love with it. So if you can, enlighten our listeners and how you fell in love with this great game of hockey.
Yeah, I think I have an awesome story about that. I was the prototypical LA, California kid that played every sport, played basketball, baseball, football, soccer, whatever was in season. And my next door neighbors were a little bit older than me. And they played hockey, and they played with Gabe Gauthier, who was probably one of the bigger names to come out of California here.
He was the name when we were like 14, 15 years old.
And I went to games watching them play and watching him and my neighbor. And so I wanted to fit in with them. So I threw on rollerblades, and there was an outdoor league at a park next to my house. And they literally used border patrols and a ball. And we started there, and that league ended up growing a little bit, and they actually put an actual roller rink in and had a really cool league. And my dad and another friend's dad ended up starting a little travel team out of that. So from like 7 to 9, we played travel roller hockey. And from that group of kids, there was like 18 of us, and 8 or 9 guys got Division I college scholarships eventually. And one guy played in the NHL, a couple draft picks. And when the Kings built their facility where I coach now in 99, that's what brought us all over to ice hockey. And it's, why I'm back here still coaching and being involved, because it led me on an incredible journey.
Vex, it's really weird. Multiple sports and roller hockey, having fun with it, and end up having 8 or 9 players get Division I scholarships. Weird how that happens.
The amount of times I've copied and pasted links to your guys' podcast talking about that to some of our families that, I'm involved in spring hockey. I'm involved in regular season hockey, and I see the families that are on the ice 7 days a week, year round. And they're like, what can we be doing to get better? And I'm like, stop coming to the rink. And here's a link to this, this incredible podcast, and, go sign up for baseball or basketball or whatever else. And it's an absolute no brainer. Especially here where the weather's nice, like go do something else.
Yeah. And vitamin D is so vital to our health. And because all hockey players, we're in rinks all the time. There is zero sunlight in rinks. And now kids are in them all winter, 7 days a week. Some of them, they're inside all the time. And, during Voldemort 19, one of the biggest factors for risk factors of suffering from long COVID or ending up in the hospital was literally low vitamin D levels. Vitamin D isn't really a vitamin, it's a hormone. We need this to be healthy, and it helps us recover as athletes. So you live in a place like California, you got to take advantage of the sun. That is literally an advantage over so many players in other states that they don't have. So getting outside, playing, moving, other sports, all these reasons. But I wanted to ask you, because you said you played multiple sports growing up. I know this is kind of a hard question, but looking back, which sport that you played do you think helped you be a better hockey player the most?
Yeah, I think basketball.
Oh, dude, that is the one that, looking back, I say all the time. And what's funny is the first time I ever thought of that at Western Michigan, my freshman year, a bunch of the freshman guys went to the rec center, and Patrick Gallivan, who was in my class, unbelievable guy, GBN Performance, check them out, was my liney there. He was nasty at basketball. And at this time, he was barely playing at Western. Like, he wasn't really getting a shot. He was a recruited walk-on. And I remember watching him move with the basketball on the court and doing things that I literally couldn't even try to do. And then I would be watching him on the ice, and I was like, dude, because he's able to do that with the basketball on the court is why he moves the way he does on the ice. And the fact that I can't do that on the court is the way that I'm a robot on the ice right now. And that started to kind of be like, man, I should start messing around with basketballs more. And I did the rest of my career. For 10 years in pro, I started using basketballs in my warm-ups and things like that, because I think there's so much transfer. And if you'll indulge me very quickly here, you got to play with your head up. You've got to be constantly scanning while you're moving. And that uses all these different things in our brain that you got to work on. The coordination of dribbling while moving. There's passing. And in passing, you don't pass to where the guy is unless you're standing still. You pass to where they're going to be, which is very important in hockey and a skill that younger players need to learn. There's all these different things: picking, rolling, body control, not falling over, bumping,
finding seams.
One-on-one guys,
Well, I think the big from just like an anticipation and a court awareness sense, like, you play offense and you play defense, and there's transition. So it's like, the understanding of, okay, we're on offense or we're on defense, and we created a steal or a turnover or whatever, and we got to go play offense. You're constantly figuring out where open space is and moving around guys. And I wasn't a great shooter because I just, playing so many sports, I just never really spent the amount of time that I needed to spend shooting hoops like other guys. So I was a passer, and I was just super competitive on defense. And so I think it helps fuel the competition level in you too, because you can be, until a certain level, you can be an effective basketball player just by playing really, really hard. And so it was like such a fun outlet. But I remember, again, I think the game has changed. Hockey's changed a lot in terms of the commitment level that's expected by coaches and stuff like that. But I remember vividly, going from hockey in the morning with a gym bag of my basketball stuff in it to basketball to baseball practice afterwards, like changing in the back of my dad's Suburban and doing that regularly. And it wasn't travel, it wasn't whatever else. It was the local basketball league or whatever school I played for. And it was little league or pony league or whatever. It wasn't like, I don't know. It was just all fun. It wasn't like, you didn't feel like you were training or that I was using basketball to be a better hockey player or that I was doing whatever. It was just fun. And I was still am super competitive. And it got that kind of competitive juice flowing all the time in different ways.
I don't want to belabor this point, but I think one of the most important things that you just said was talking about working on spatial awareness. I think in the game today, with how fast it is, the stops and starts, how smart players are now, what they're able to do with the puck and put it in spaces. Spatial awareness is something that a lot of players don't work on, especially in skill stuff now where it's very individualized and it's just like you against like objects on the ice. You're not learning what that depth is between me and the defender and the wall and the net and all these things and picking. So I think that is a really important thing that basketball can really teach you. And the competitiveness, and you're having fun and you don't realize you're training. I have so many parents reach out to me because my Instagram is huge now. What's up at Jeff Lavecchio? Out to me. Hey, I had a call with a dad, and if he's listening, I love you, bro. And I'm glad you called, with a dad of a player who was like 7 years old, asking me how he should start off ice training. And I was like, play other sports and have fun. Get in the yard with me and throw the ball. And so a lot of parents are now like, I want to get them into training. Guys, parents, young coaches, the best training for young athletes is playing other sports. All right.
And it's cheaper.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper. I'm the guy who gets paid to train people, right? Like, but what they need to learn is all of these things that sports teach them. Like you could have a kid get in there and like do sprints and all this stuff. But when you're competing and having to express skill like you have to in other sports while you're sprinting, while you're stopping and starting, while you're jumping and passing, you're not just working on things you'd be doing in the gym. You're expressing skill while doing those things. And that's what you do in hockey. And that's what they need to get when they're younger. And it's fun. We're not going to burn them out.
And I think in my experience so far, like I do think that, I think parents, every parent wants to see their kids succeed at everything they do. Right. And I think that when you are, I'm a hockey player, right? At 8 years old, like a lot of parents now want their kids to be the best hockey player they can be, right? A lot of kids now with media and everything else, they see a lot of things that we didn't see maybe growing up. We just caught whatever game was on or whatever. And we're like, oh, that's my favorite team or that's my favorite player. Like now kids are watching other kids training, right, on Instagram or whatever. And parents post that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, if I don't do that, am I falling behind? When really what we encourage them to do is, like you said, you don't need a trainer at 10 years old. You don't need a trainer, but like, sign up for the local basketball league and go practice once a week and play a game once a week. Like even if it's in season or, same thing in the off season, like play a couple different sports, touch the ice a couple times here or there, do a tournament or two here or there. But you don't need to be on the ice 4 days a week in the summer, and you don't need a personal trainer at that age. Like maybe, if you want to have some group sessions or whatever, but I see the biggest gains from our kids that take a break and refresh and come back excited to play hockey in September. Cause they touched the ice here and there, but they didn't play, tournaments every other weekend. And I think it's funny. We have a kid that played for us, last year, and great kid, Ben Kevin. He was a 3rd overall USHL draft pick this last year. He led our team in scoring last year. He led nationals at scoring. And he had never really ever had any guidance on how to actually be a hockey player. He was just totally gifted offensively, and he was a great skater and everything else. He didn't make the NTDP this year. They thought he was a little too raw, and despite putting up the numbers and everything else, and that's fine. But he came back after the season, and he was normally a kid that would do 5 or 6 tournaments. He would get invited to all of these things. He would do these tournaments, and he just played all summer. This summer, he just trained all summer. No spring tournaments, none of that stuff. And he came to us, and I was like, whoa. And Des Moines brought him in for their main camp, not expecting to keep him. They told us, hey, he's coming back to you guys. He led their team in scoring for a couple of weeks, and they're like, yeah, we're keeping him. And now I think he's put up like 30 points in 25 games or something like that as a a 16-year-old in the USHL, and just one summer of dedicating to, like, I'm not going to skate every day. I'm not going to play all these tournaments. He put on some weight, did all this stuff, and like became an athlete. And it doesn't matter if you're 16 or 12, like that's how you get better. I see it every day. And there's kids that put in the work all summer. They do all the workouts, they skate all summer, and then come, October, and the kids that took the break that might not be quite where they are in September are jumping past them by November, December. It's not even close.
I think we just end the podcast now, guys. Right. You don't need to take anything else out of this. For everybody that's listening, you don't need to take anything else out of this except for what you two guys.
And I'm like you, Vex. Like I run a spring and summer program. Like we have camps, we do some tournament teams, we run a college camp here, we do some on ice training and stuff like that. The first thing I say to everyone when they ask what they should be doing within our program is whatever you need to do. Like, there's not an expectation that you're going to do all of it. We offer all of these things, not expecting you to sign up for all of them. It's like we offer tournaments each month that you can participate in, not because we want you to play in a tournament every month, but because everyone's schedule is different. And maybe you want to play in one in April and one in June, not because we want you to play April, May, June, July, August, and then go into it's just there for people that, everyone's schedule is different. So I'm in the same boat. Like, it would be better for my business if I was like, hey, you should be doing all of these things all the time. It's like, absolutely not. And I think, I don't know, this is just segueing, but like, especially in California and in non-traditional markets, but even in general, like, a lot of people end up doing so much stuff, not because they think that that's what they're supposed to be doing, but it's because they go into their off season without a plan. And so it's just whatever comes up is the thing that they think they need to sign up for. And then by the end of the summer, they've signed up for so many things that they're like, where did the time go to actually like train and get better and enjoy summer and enjoy a vacation and time with people. And so like that absence of a plan tends to be something that we see a lot of people fall into. It doesn't matter really what the age is.
That's really interesting.
Is there a way we as coaches at the end of the season, like what do we do? How do we get in front of that? What do you say to your team?
Yeah, I think the hard part is that you can't wait until the end of the season, because like
they're getting emails in January.
Yeah, like I've been doing the spring and summer stuff for, it's kind of since I started. So like 6 or 7 years of like this, 10 years total of our camps and whatnot. And it used to be that there was like, kind of the same tournaments every year. And then now I think COVID, because everyone lost a season and they sort of had to start playing in the spring and the summer because they lost their season, it blew up the amount of spring and summer hockey events. And when everyone signed up for 1 million spring and summer events because they missed out on a season, all of those companies sort of we're like, oh, let's capitalize on this. And after that, it was like the never ending spring and summer saga of tournaments and events.
Vex, your face says it all.
And what I would tell our kids is I meet with all of our players multiple times a year. Like I'm big on meeting with the players and the families all year. Like our families can set time with me whenever they want. And a lot of that talks about what the off season looks like and what next year looks like and what they should be doing. And for midget players, which are usually the ones that I kind of advise with the most, it's like, hey, if you were drafted to a USHL team, like you're going to that camp. If you want to go to one other maybe exposure event or something like that, go for it. If not, take a break, get into your recovery right away and start your training and stay local. Like you don't need to bounce around. So with the younger kids, like, it's obviously a little bit different, but it's like, hey, a lot of families, you need to set a budget, number one, for how much you want to spend, and then work backwards from there. So if it's like, hey, we are going to spend X amount of dollars, it's crazy how much stuff costs now, but we're going to spend X amount of dollars. What's the best way to allocate those funds? And it's like, well, you can go to tournaments that on average, we've kind of done we've kind of done the math on it, and it's about $2,000 for a parent and a child to travel to a tournament from This is from California. By the time you pay for the airfare, the hotel, the food, the tournament entry fees, and things like that, you're all in about $2,000. So I've done the math and broken down. I'm a nerd on this stuff. So like I've broken down the math on, okay, if you're what type of return on your investment do you want? For that $2,000, maybe you're playing 5 games. If your team has 3 lines, you're playing an average of a third of the game. If you have the puck on your stick for 5 seconds a shift, you're touching the puck X amount of times during a game. So for $2,000, you've got the puck on your stick for, a total of like 4 minutes in the course of a 5-game weekend. If you play 5 games and you're only on the ice for a third of each of the games, like, okay, then you are actually only on the ice for this much time. For that same $2,000, you can spend $50 or whatever it is and be on the ice for an hour with a coach. And how many hours are you actually on the ice with a puck on your stick or doing skating drills or whatever else? And which one's the better return on investment for you? So I have a whole like PDF breakdown that we'll just hand out to people. And I do think that there's something about for younger kids, like playing with really, really good kids and against really, really good kids a couple times during the summer at a young age is really, really useful. I don't think you need to play in the super elite tournament series that goes for 6 months and you're paying a shit ton of money just because you want to be involved in that
status,
ecosystem status or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all pre-puberty. So like, it's not even real hockey. And so that's how I do it is I start with, okay, well, what do you want your off season? How much do you want it to cost? Do you want it to cost $10,000 so that you can do 5 tournaments? Do you want it to cost $10,000 so that you can do 1 tournament and you can, do all these other things? Like, what do you want it?
Think about all that money too. Oh, $10,000. Well, you could play 2 local sports throughout the summer that will cost you maybe $1,000. You could also pay for a nutritionist to help you learn about like healthy foods and what that looks like. That might cost you $1,000 to work with them the whole summer. And then the other $8,000 you can put in the stock market or a CD and make 4 to 8%. So let's do that, mom and dad. And that'll
what about a vacation? As soon as the season
vacation, whatever. There's a lot of things you could do with that money that is going to actually help you way longer. And especially in the long run than going to freaking 16 elite 4-year-old tournaments here.
Yeah. And look, I think the hard part for a lot of the parents that are out there that I'm sure will watch this or will see this is like, you don't know what you don't know until you've gone through it. And, I think that there's a lot of parents that you can lean on that have already had kids that have gone through all of this, and they will talk about what they would have done differently or what they liked or didn't like. And I think the people that give advice that have nothing to gain from giving that advice are the people you want to listen to, like you guys that, you put this thing together for the betterment of the hockey community. And it's like, you look at the careers that you guys had and what you're doing now. And it's like, why would you guys purposely mislead people? You have no financial gain in any of this. Like, the people that run these tournaments and these programs, like they have all the financial, things to gain by saying like, hey, yeah, you need to sign up for all of these things. You need to do these things. Like, here's your pipeline on how you're going to get to where you want to go. Like, look at all these players that did this before you. And I could just as easily make a list of the players that didn't do any of those things that also made it. So it's like, what data points do you want to use in this stuff?
And it is pretty crazy. I feel like right now, my Instagram algorithm, there's like a lot of like Hockey Academy and summer and spring tournaments. Like those are the paid ads that I'm seeing based on who I follow and, what I'm putting my attention towards and stuff. And like, it's like every day I see something new. I'm like, how many different tournaments can there be? And how many, like, this is crazy.
It's crazy. And the program, when I started doing the the tournaments. We originally just started as a camp. So we were like we were kind of the local camp that all the tier level kids would come to. Like it was usually 2 weeks in the summer, and there was certain age groups in 1 week and certain age groups in the other age group. And like, even though I coach with the Kings, I have a really good relationship with all the clubs here in town and on the West Coast. And it's not about building anything for the Kings or whatever. It's about, I just want all the best players that love hockey and whatever else come train and then go back to whatever team you played on. And so when we started it, when we added the tournament teams, it was more just like, hey, this was a good opportunity for kids that normally play on different teams in the West Coast here to come play together, meet new players, like maybe the Coyotes kids in Arizona, the Kings kids, the Ducks kids, whatever, they play together. And now we've created some relationships where those teams can play more games against each other locally or whatever else. And now it's gotten to the point where we kind of broke away this year, and I set up something different. We'll still do a couple tournaments outside of this, but I set up a small league with 5 other spring and summer programs that have been around for a little while. And we just got tired of going to events that have, 20 teams in a division, and you have no idea what the level of teams are that you're going to be playing. And you're paying a premium price now. Every tournament has gone from like $1,700 to like $3,000 now. And you have to do a state of play. You don't know where you're staying or what rink you're playing at until a few weeks before the tournament. A lot of times they're 30 minutes apart. They're different rinks, whatever. And like we're like very affordable. And so, but the way we were affordable was like, we'd have, normally the games are at the same rink. So we'd have 2 coaches go to coach 3 teams, right? So that there was some overlap. If there was an overlap in one of the games, now you can't do that because there's 15 rinks that they're playing out of, and they're, far apart. And like, so now I've got to pay for extra coaches to go and hotels. And so it's just like, we started this league. There's 6 programs. We're all going to bring 5 birth years. All the games are at the same rink. It's a state of play, but like all the teams are built into the hotel model. So like we're responsible for the hotels, and it's not a third party, which means that we can keep other things cheaper because we're using some of the hotel revenue to offset our costs. And on Thursdays before the tournaments, we're offering skill sessions that all 6 of the programs, the teams, are going to bring their coaches together to collaborate. All the kids from the different programs can come skate together, have some parent socials, bring in some people that like maybe you guys to talk to the parents about the craziness of all of this stuff and what they should be doing and maybe what they should stay away from and really, create something that's more than just show up, play games, go home. And that's what I think the vision of that whole thing is about.
Let me ask you this, because I feel like this is one of the hardest things for me in youth hockey in particular. And that is like, when I heard you talk about like bringing people together in the same area and kind of all working as one to do things, you can't do that anywhere. Like you literally like, and it that's what infuriates me the most is like this competition between, adults who are 50 to 60 years old, and their egos. Yeah. And that getting in the way of being able to do things like this. Like I'm in Chicago. There's 5 AAA teams in Chicago. All 5 AAA teams are good enough to play a lot of games against each other. Like the strength of the teams are not so, up and down where you'd have good games. But there were like literally like somebody sent me an Excel spreadsheet of all the tier 1 programs in Chicago and the amount of games that they've played. Vex, I don't know if I've even showed you this yet. There's like squirt AAA teams that have played over 50 games before Christmas and have traveled 6 times.
Yeah. Before Christmas?
Before Christmas. Oh yeah, dude. Not like no joke. And that's why I'm sitting here and I'm like the worst thing about it too is like we can have this conversation, Brett, and we know you and we know you do really good things. But if we get any other youth hockey director, they're literally going to say the same thing that you are. It's about the kids. We're trying to keep the cost down. That's the thing that really pisses me off about youth hockey is that everybody always says the right things, but nobody actually follows through on it. And to hear you talking about like bringing people together to like offset costs and we don't have to travel, and we're actually going to build maybe a little bit of a healthy culture in the town that we're in, rather than everybody always at each other's throats and, negative recruiting. These guys are terrible and this and that. Like, it's just, oh my God, it's created this atmosphere that is like so infuriating. And it's just really cool to hear you talk about that.
And I'm not even a hockey director here. All I do is coach our midget team. I work with our directors and our GM and everybody else. And I try to help out where I can on that side of things. Running my own spring and summer program, like I have a couple guys that help me out on the coaching side of things, but I run the entire thing and I do it all on the back end. Like it's a passion project. I am such an advocate for the betterment of California hockey. Like even if it's to our club's detriment and our and my personal like wins and losses for who I'm coaching, like I don't care. Like when I started coaching here, I guess 5 or 6 years ago now, the main goal that I had when I only promised I would coach for 2 years, and here we are in year 6 or whatever. The one goal that I had was that we could reestablish being a club that kept the kids here at least through 16 AAA. That was the only goal. It wasn't winning anything. It wasn't it wasn't anything else. That was the one thing that I sat down with the club and the families that of the kids that I coached. It was Pee Wee AAA major that year. And I said, my goal is nothing else other than to create the framework here that keeps you guys here through midget 16s. And if I do that, then everything else that we did to make that happen will result in development, will result in cost savings, will result in all of those things like that. That's the lead up to that. So right away, the group that I coached, which was 06s, they had a really bad relationship with the Ducks program down in Anaheim, to the point where like they played their like mandatory league games, and then that was it against each other. And the first thing that I did was I reached out to their coach and just said, hey, I heard things were really bad last year. Like, I want to introduce myself and let you know that it's going to be different. And by the end of the year, we had played each other a number of times. And more importantly, we worked together to bring in other teams to come play us. So it was like, hey, we're going to host these 2 teams. Everyone plays each other 4 or 5 times, and then they're going to go home. Like, you get the ice at your place, I'll get the ice at our place. And we did that, 5 or 6 times. And we ended up playing the same amount of games that they played this season before, but only had to travel half the amount of times. And we did that last year with our midget team at the 15 level. We played, I think we played about 70 games or so, and we played half of them in California because that's hilarious, by the way. We played half of them in California because we had Shattuck come out. We had Little Caesars come out. We had Omaha, Phoenix. Like, it can be done here, but you have to work with the other clubs. And like, I'm a big proponent of, let's draw a line in the sand between Orange County and LA until a certain age, because the LA Kings recruit a bunch of the Orange County kids when they're 12 to play Pee-wees here, 11 or 12, or kids come in from other areas. Now they're 14 and they're leaving after Bantams because they don't want to make the hour-and-a-half drive anymore. Like, let's develop our LA kids here that are close. We might not be a top 5, 10 team in the country anymore. We might be a top 15 or 20 team, but those kids are going to stay through 16s because there's a pathway for them to stay here. They don't have to leave and go to the academies and whatever else. Like, it's the only way to make it work out here. And I think that Chicago, Michigan, whatever, they have it even easier because there's 5 teams that are really, really good. Like, you guys shouldn't be losing players anywhere, based on that. Like, a California team just went out and played like 5 of the Chicago teams in a row. Like, they just flew out and played, one game again in each team and came back. Like, they should be setting that up all the time.
Totally, man. It's
everyone until all of the hockey stuff, and it starts with coaches. Like, at our club, like I'm critical of our club always, because I think we can always be better. I think that if we're not hard on ourselves about what we can be doing better, then we're not putting a better product out. In California, like, and I'm sure it's everywhere, all the coaches are independent contractors, basically outside of coaching their team and filling like lessons, and the things that come along with that are become more important because of the financials than actually developing the players that you're coaching and the commitment you make to them. And so until hockey in general becomes, everyone stops having their hand in the cookie jar, then it's only going to get more divided. It's only going to get more expensive, and it's just going to be harder and harder. And I think we're making it harder than it has to be.
Amen.
So well said. Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head, and I'm sure it's not on the top of your head, to get to that place? Like, how do we get to that place and not having everybody?
Very, very easily. There has to be the government, like, until there's actual rules in place, like it doesn't matter. And like, I don't know that USA Hockey wants to do what they actually have to do to curb some of this. Like, I think the first thing that they did was when they opened up, quote unquote, juniors to all of these leagues and everything else. The first thing it did was water down, U18. So they opened the door for that. And I get that it's a free market and that we live in a capitalistic society. Like, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for everyone, if you put the best product out there, people will buy it. Like, I'm all for that. But until USA Hockey puts rules into place about what organizations can and can't do, it's not going to get any better. As long as there's different avenues for people to make money, and again, a lot of these programs, this isn't a knock on like academy programs or other AAA programs or whatever else. Like, a lot of them do actually provide really good value versus like, hey, what you spend in California to play a season of hockey here, by the time you fly everywhere and miss school and everything else, like, there's a reason that the top few kids from here go to Shattuck every year or other places. Like, but until there's something that's put into place across the board, it's just, when you're allowing a 12-year-old team to play 55 games before Christmas, like, you could just as easily say, hey, 12U is allowed, let's call it 60 games for the season. And, based on your region, X amount of those games have to be in your state. Well, like, you just made organizations have to figure out their scheduling better than saying, like, let's just get on a plane every weekend. And you're going to maximize where you're playing and who you're playing and everything else. Things like that are really, in my opinion, the way that it works. Now, again, that still leaves a lot of freedom, right? If you're able to play 60 games and you're in Chicago and you can play, 30 games at home, well, if there's 5 AAA teams, you can play everybody 6 times. Or teams that come in to play you from other areas, those may count as local games. I don't know, just thinking out loud, but that's sort of, you put a framework into place. Like, I'm a big proponent of our organization as the Kings to put in a limit on how many times a team can travel.
Amen.
We have some teams in our club that travel, they're going to play like 80 games this year, and they're going to be on a plane, 13 or 14 times.
And what does that do for so many families who can't afford that? Yeah, like, we're pushing out future stars because we just keep increasing the cost. Guys, if they're below 14, maybe 15, but for sure below 14, they don't need to travel that much. They don't. You get better in practice. Practice more than you play.
Now, granted, like, we're in a unique situation here. I feel like California is, and smaller markets are in a unique situation in terms of teams that they're able to play and things like that. But I've been a big proponent of, like, let's start a little West Coast league where, like, Vegas at the younger levels, what they're doing now that the Knights are there, that's going to be a hockey hotbed here soon. Arizona, despite the Coyotes' struggles and stuff, like, they're producing great players and great teams and great coaches. So I think if we put the framework in place of like on the West Coast here, if those are all places you can drive, and you can leave after school on a Friday, go to Arizona and play 2 games Saturday, 1 game Sunday, and come home or whatever else. Like putting instead of being like, oh, well, that team's not very good, we're going to fall in the My Hockey rankings or whatever. Like, we're not going to play somebody local, like you mentioned, Toph in Chicago, like, or Michigan. Like some of those teams won't play each other, not because they don't want the game, but because they don't want to, fall out of whatever ranking they are. So until USA Hockey wants to take a deeper look at, they're doing such a great job at the younger ages. Like you look at what's happened in the last decade since they started the ADM model and the type of players that are coming out that are starting at that younger age. They did one small thing to change the trajectory of players at a younger age. And why not take it a step further? Why not put some limits into squirts? Why do we have AAA in squirts? Like,
great question.
Why do we have?
I have the answer to that.
I know you have the answer.
You ready?
Hit me.
Because USA Hockey can't afford to get sued up their butt a million different times from families and parents that have a lot of money that want their kids to play 80 games.
100%.
And then that's the thing that really sucks. And again, like, I don't know if necessarily USA Hockey has done the best job of selling the things that they're doing, because it's all research based.
No,
like,
for sure.
Cross ice hockey, like, that's what you should be doing at Mites.
We're getting on the ice with our midget guys. I gave them 2 full weeks off for Christmas and New Year. So we have our first practice right now since the 18th, and they're going to do 2 full ice drills to start practice. And then the rest is just going to be small area competitive drills for 45 minutes so that they can get back in shape. And so but I'm with you on that. The only thing I'm a big proponent in all things in life that it's easy to complain. It's hard to affect change by putting things in place to actually make the changes you want. I've now just stopped worrying about the whole big thing, because I know that, it's not, I'm not big enough to affect change everywhere, but like, I just focus on my little bubble here, the guys that I work with, the families that I love and care about. And I've put my time and effort into those kids and those families, and what everyone else is doing, I've stopped worrying about. And I can come up with a million solutions and whatever else, but like, I think we're doing a really, really good job here. And I think we're affecting change here. And if other people in California want to follow suit and want to maybe buy into like what we're doing, like what we're doing is working, then great. And if they don't, then that's up to them. So like, I think if everyone kind of took that mindset, like you guys are doing, Vex, like you see all these kids that are doing all these workout videos and whatever else, and you're seeing all of that. But like, if you worried about that 98% instead of focusing on the 2% that were in your gym that are coming to you to get better, like, you would drive yourself crazy. Instead, you're taking what you have and making the absolute best out of it. And, Toph, what you're doing and even just putting this on, like, I think it's easy to complain about the big thing. And if you just take care of where you are and be where your feet are, you can affect like so much change.
It's so true, man. Like, what you're saying is so unbelievably true. And like, you asked what the solution to our problems are, and that's people doing things the right way, not caring about what other people think of it, and not caring about the competitive aspect of being in My Hockey rankings. Because if you do let's face it, like, a lot of times the teams that win in youth hockey have the best players. Right. For sure. And so it's become a recruiting game, not a development game. I mean, that's a big part of it. Now, what I would say is, like, you might have to, if you tell parents that, hey, we're only playing 50 games this year and we're only traveling 4 times, like, it's going to take people to be like, I don't care if you, Johnny, who's the best player in this city, don't play for me right now. Because all youth hockey is what can we do to accommodate little Johnny's family so they can come to us, so we can have a good My Hockey rankings, and then everybody else will want to come to us. Like, it's going to take people that are hockey directors or presidents in different cities, like all around, like doing things the right way and being okay with doing it that way and not caring if they lose the top 1, 2, 3 players for a year or two. And then like everybody always talks about like the midget hockey, like start at the youngest of ages, because honestly, I don't think USA Hockey can really do anything about this. USA Hockey is they're strapped, because if they do try to mandate things, like look what happens when they tried to mandate cross ice hockey at Mites. Everybody went to AAU. Like USA Hockey is probably scared that if they try to mandate anything else, AAU is going to take everybody, and then USA Hockey is forgotten. Like they're not even.
I think the only unique thing that we have in hockey that isn't in other sports is like the what would have to happen in that situation is there would have to be some agreement from all the rink owners and everywhere else that they were gonna partner with USA Hockey and USA Hockey alone, and there was going to be some sort of binding agreement there that like if an AAU or somebody else wanted to start something, like you're not going to sell them the ice or whatever. But like again, that's a pie in the sky thing. Again, I think you're spot on. I and when you ask what the solution was, I think the solution is that USA Hockey has to mandate all of those things. Now, if that probably can't happen, so then the solution then becomes, taking care of your house and where you are and things like that. And I think you hit the nail on the head, and it's been the biggest thing that I've been a proponent of, which is letting everyone know well ahead of time what the plan is. Like the hard part about hockey directing and hockey coaching and whatever else is like, I love our sport. I love the people in our sport. I love the life lessons that it provides to people. But the hockey director position, the GM position, the whatever else in a lot of youth hockey organizations or even coaching, it's a low-hanging fruit for a lot of people. And it's a position that you not necessarily directing or whatever else, but like a lot of things, like there's a lot of people involved in hockey that maybe don't have the business sense or that don't have the other things. Like not everyone has a lot of the things that make a great hockey director, communication skills, financial literacy, like a lot of things. Like to do it really, really well, you have to have a lot of those things. Same thing with coaching. Like, a lot of people get into coaching because like they only know hockey. Maybe they didn't do anything else, which is totally fine. And some people don't put their whole heart and soul into working with kids. And like, it is what it is. You're going to get that. So I think, again, it comes down to what you said, like getting the right people together. And I think if there's some sort of curriculum or something that is foundational to your organization, and then other organizations are willing to share that and communicate it with each other, that's how everybody gets better. And I think there's some AAA organizations that do it absolutely fantastic, and they might not win national championships or show up, in the My Hockey rankings up high, yet they continue to produce good players and, more importantly, good people. And then I think that there's other organizations that are in the top 5 every year that, if I had a son, I would never consider sending them to some of those places. And you brought up recruiting versus development. I think Ben, the kid that I talked about earlier, is a perfect example. And
again, before you start, go back if you're listening to this right now, go back to minute, what was it, 15 or 10 or whatever, and go listen to that, because that was awesome.
Yeah, and so Ben, when I was taking over this team, after their Bantam year, I knew that I was going to be getting the team. So I met with the families in January or December, whenever it was. And that's usually the time in California when people are kind of making their decision on what's next. And I sat with all the families and all the players, and I said, here's what our practice schedule is going to look like. I'm going to make sure that we play as many local games as possible. We're not going to travel outside of our Tier 1 Elite League Plus. I'm going to get you in front of the USHL Fall Classic, the NTDP tournament that they do, and then one other one. So it's like one a month basically, which is less than they've done in the past year. Here's what our training schedule looks like. Here's what the expectation of time at the rink looks like. And, here's our coaching staff, whatever else. And if you want to be here, great. If you don't, it's totally fine. And a few people went other places. I love the families that left. I still work with their kids when they're home in the summer, but we did beat 3 teams that had kids leave to go play other places on our way to the national championship last year. No big deal. And
grass
Ben,
isn't always greener on the other side, is it?
no, we water our grass here, so it's really green. But Ben, so I sat down with Ben and his family, and he was a great Bantam player, and he could have gone to any top program that he wanted to. And the big thing that we sat down and talked about was, I was like, look, I've watched you play. I've coached you for 3 years in different aspects and things like that. And I've talked to the coaches that know you and that you're looking to, potentially go to the NTDP. Like I've talked with those guys. Like, I know what the knocks on your game are. I know what coaches and players or coaches think of you. I know what you need to work on. And you have my full commitment that my goal this year is not to win or whatever else. It's that you're going to be the best possible player you can be by the end of the year. And we're going to close that gap on those deficiencies. And that's your D zone coverage. That's your body language, like all of those other things that, and I'm like, you can either get that from day one here, or you can go to any of these other teams and they're not going to figure out what you need to work on until December after you've been with them for 3 or 4 months. And at that point, they're going to have a decision to make. Play the next 3 months and be okay with, hey, he's such a good offensive player that we're going to deal with the rest of that stuff because we have to win in order for kids to keep coming here. Or they might say, hey, we'll put in the work to help them develop these next 3 months. We'll see what happens. And you can either take that chance or you can, have a guarantee that that's what you're going to get here. And he chose to stick around. And same with a few other kids that we had the same conversation. It was like and Topher commented on something you posted the other day about rolling the lines or whatever. And it's like, every kid on our team plays a regular shift. Every kid on our team, even at the midget level, plays a power play, plays a penalty kill. Everybody plays about evenly until January. And that's laid out.
How do you approach that? How do you approach that at that level with the parents and the players? How do you get them on board?
Yeah, it's in a meeting well before the season starts that if you're on this team, I'm here to develop you. And the way you develop is not sitting on the bench. Like, you play. And we lost games last year. We didn't lose a lot, but we lost games last year where our fourth line was on the ice, up a goal with a minute left, and we got scored on. Now, we won games in March and April because our fourth line then got to go play another shift up by a goal and got the puck out of the zone and, whatever else. Or like our third line, we needed a big goal and our top guys weren't on the ice. It was our next group of guys. And we won games in March and April because those guys had the confidence to play those big minutes. And more importantly, I think the coolest thing for me as a coach and what I think is the secret sauce of a great team is if you will buy into whatever your role ends up being from January to March, a hell of a lot more if you had the opportunity from September to December to get into the power play, to play some bigger minutes, to whatever else. You had that chance. And if you didn't succeed at it, you can't be upset that you're not getting it in January through March, but you had the chance. And so you're going to run through a wall for your team and your coaches or whatever else later on down the road, even if it's a lesser role.
Steph, goal horn, goal horn, goal horn, goal horn.
There we go.
Please, parents.
We are I've been so fortunate to coach some incredibly gifted players. We had a great group of players. We had 4 kids that got invited to the NTDP camp. One of them made it. We had, we've got 4 or 5 kids that are committed already. I'm not sitting here saying we're the school of the blind on ice here. We have very good players, and I'm not making something out of nothing, but that doesn't guarantee that you're going to win. I think the winning is a byproduct of the development of a lot of the players. And, I'm always the first one to say, don't confuse activity with accomplishment and don't confuse winning with development. You can win games at the youth hockey level without developing players. Like if you're coaching the squirt or the peewee kid that, cheats in the D zone all the time, and he's going to score 2 or 3 goals a game, so you don't correct it, you're going to win a lot of games, but like that kid's not going to be a better player.
You're hurting that kid.
You're hurting that kid. And it's really hard to sit. But I think, again, it goes to communication and delivery. Like, it's really hard to tell an 11-year-old kid that just scored a goal, like, hey, what you just did, even though it worked, was not the right play. And now, not only do you have to tell them that, like, you have to now show him why that is and what they could do differently. And then, that takes some massaging. Like, you can't just say that and walk away down the bench. Like, it's like, while the play's going on, like, you might have to be like, hey, yeah, it worked, but here's what is going to happen at the next level or whatever. And then you got to revisit it and whatever, all those things. And like, we had this really good peewee team when I was my first year coaching. We had Topher, you're still at Michigan, right?
No, I'm not there anymore.
Okay,
yeah,
you're not there anymore. Okay.
Now, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. So we have one of the kids on our team from that year is committed to Michigan, and
is that Aiden?
Aiden Park, yeah.
What a kid! What a kid! I was there last year when they were recruiting him, and so got to meet him and the family. Yeah, unreal.
We ended up winning that. He was an MVP of the Quebec tournament. We ended up winning that with that group of kids, and we had, working with him was one of the most fun things that I've ever had experience with in coaching an individual player. Still to this day, and this isn't a knock on any of the other players that I've coached. There is not another player that I've coached, even today, like when he comes back for the summers or whatever else, that raises the level of the people around him on the ice and off the ice more than that kid. And if an NHL GM takes a shot on him, he will be a Joe Pavelski or just a guy that you can't figure out why he continues to have success, because he's not the prettiest player in the world, but he raises everyone's level around him. But with that being said, like, it was really hard. He was an incredible peewee player, and we had a couple others, and it takes a certain maturity level that he had even at that age to agree with you that the goal that he scored was something that might not work later on. And when you get the one guy to start buying into that, then the other guys follow him. And we had some other guys that were, the puberty kids at 12. Like, we won that tournament because we had 4 defensemen that are, I think, playing. If they're not in the USHL now, they're about to be. And they were all huge back then. Like, that's impossible to lose when you have that. But some of them could just shoot the puck from anywhere and it could go in. It's like, guys, like, I know you can do that, but I'm asking you not to. And it takes some buy-in from 12-year-olds but if you do it with your best couple players, the other kids also buy in. They're not trying to toe drag at the blue line when they enter the zone on a 1-on-2. And so if you hold everyone to the same standard when they're 12, those middle of the pack players, they're going to be better for it too. And I think Aiden was like the perfect example of that as like a 12-year-old. And I'm so happy to see how, much success and everything else that he's had since then.
That doesn't surprise me one bit from having met him and his mom on their visit. Like, and that's the thing, like, for all the kids that are listening, like, here's a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, whatever, who's now committed to Michigan. And I think he was like, I don't know, he was probably 3rd overall draft pick or 1st round the USHL at some point.
Yeah.
High round draft pick. But like, man, if you were one of the best players on your team at any level, peewees, bantams, midgets, like, if you want to win and you're one of the best players, if you're one of the hardest working players or the hardest working player on your team, I guarantee you your team will win. I guarantee you your team will win, because everybody follows the best players and what they do. And if the best players, and this is true at the NHL level, all the way down, like, if your best players are hot dogs and your best players don't want to buy in and your best players want to do things their way, then you might win if you have talent, but you're not going to win a championship. If best players are the hardest workers at any level, like, everybody else is going to buy in. And like, so if you want to win, if you're competitive and you're one of the best players on your team, be the hardest worker, guarantee you're going to win.
And that whole birth year here was very similar to him and how hard they work. Like, Vex, if you could have worked with this group of kids, you would have. It's probably the reason that I've coached as long as I have. Like, working with those kids for 3 years, starting with that Pee Wee year, was like some of the most rewarding times in my life, because they, like, Aiden had, I don't know what was going on with his sinuses, but the kid had a runny nose for like 12 years. He would literally be in practice with just snot coming down his nose, just looking at you like a bull with a cape. And like Drake Murray, Tyler Chiavetti, Torrey Pittner, who's playing the USHL now. Like,
he's good.
All of these guys are committed, and we had many other. Quentin Bourne is in the Western League. Like, we have a bunch of kids that were like, but Aiden drove the boat. Like, he just had like this 1% more. He would hit somebody in practice at Pee Wee's, and Quentin Bourne and him would go at each other one-on-one in drills, and Quentin would beat the shit out of Aiden. Sorry for the language. Would beat the crap out of him in practice, and they would end up like coming up like almost punching each other. They were like going at each other so hard, but it set the tone for the rest of the guys that like, that's what practice is going to look like. And they made my job a lot easier and more fun. And I don't know how we segued to that, but I think if you can create that environment at the youth level, like we talked about, and you explained that before the season, like Vex, like our practices were harder than our games because like you said, awesome. But I think that there's also, it's easy to say that. And it's another thing to create the practice plans and the planning for doing that. Like, it's not going to be harder if you're just constantly skating around cones or doing the same 5 drills, every time. So it's like, how do we as coaches work together to share things that create that in all of our practices and in all of our stuff like that, the collaboration versus the, club versus club. We're not going to talk to you. We're not like, screw you guys. Like you don't know what you're talking about over there. Instead of like, how do we come together as coaches in the off season and work with all of these kids? And then, hey, we play for different clubs during the season, and be willing to be humble enough to know that we don't know everything and that we want to learn from other guys, and that, hey, that guy down the road at the Ducks might be able to offer me something to teach my players and vice versa.
And just talking about like, having the best players like going at each other and playing hard. Another thing like coaches you got to do is like, you've got to instill that in your leadership group. Like, hey, you need to be doing this for you guys in the room. You are the best players on the team as of right now. And what are your goals? You ask them, because then when you connect someone's goals and they tell you them, now you can hold them to that standard. And now they don't feel upset or emotionally damaged or hurt when you try to hold them to the standard. Cause like, you told me that you want to play juniors next year.
You told me that you wanted this. So, and here's what you are not, I'm being hard on you because this is what you said your goals were.
Right.
And if your actions right now are not aligning with what you told me. So are you going to change your goals or are you going to change your actions?
Exactly. And getting your leaders on board, because like Tope said, then all the other players follow suit. And it reminded me of, after my sophomore year at Western, like I could have signed with so many NHL teams. I decided to come back and I went to Chris Frank. Yeah, no big deal. I went to Chris Frank the Tank, the hardest hitter in all of college hockey, maybe college hockey ever. And he had just been drafted 2 years before in college. And I was like, hey, I'm going to leave after this year. My goal is to sign the NHL and leave after this year. Every single practice, every single drill, I want to go against you and I want you to go against me, because he wanted to go pro at some point, in college, whenever. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to leave after this year. Like, that's my goal. That's what I'm going to practice like every day. So anytime there's any drill where you and I can get in the front of the line, we're going against each other. And we did it all season long.
But it took you guys to take control of your own development and do that, right? And like, I think that that's massive amongst players. And I love that that's one of the first things you see when you go to the NTDP rink is like, take control of your own development. I've loved that. How do we as coaches help our players do that, right? Like pulling a kid aside and be like, hey, you're our best player and you've gone against, like, I love Johnny, but he's our 6th defenseman. Like, you have this conversation in private and you say, hey, he's great. He's a huge part of this team, but this person's our best defenseman. Why are you not going against him every day in practice? And like, I think, to kind of put a ribbon on this part of the topic, it's like, I think that there's so many things that actually are, I don't know if developable is the right word at my West.
It's a Western word. That's probably not a Cornell word.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
We'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it on the board? I think, I think for a long time people were like, oh, hockey IQ, you either have it or you don't. That competitiveness, you either have it or you don't. And I think that that's total BS. I look at, what are we doing with 8U players and 10U players in practice? And a lot of it is you start a drill with the puck and you end a drill with the puck, and you, it looks pretty. You're working on the stick handling moves or whatever else, but like you can teach, angling, you can teach body position, you can teach competitiveness. Like I think when you incorporate races at the 8U level for anything, like not only are your kids going to get faster and more competitive, but they're going to have more fun, and you're going to see that growth a lot quicker. Same thing, like fostering the body contact and the aggression that we have in our game is so important. And we don't see that, I think, enough at the younger levels. And I think if you are truly going to be good at this game, you have to really like that part of the game. And the quicker you're exposed to it and that competition of it and that aggression of it. And I'm not saying in a dirty way, like just the love of going into a corner with a guy, knowing that it's you versus him, and whoever comes out with that puck is going to be, the one that's more successful. Like if you can establish that at an early age, you don't have the kid that's the really good 12-year-old that now they're 13 and checking starts. And it's like, whoa. It's like, it's all part of the development. And I think that that's, one thing that might be lacking a little bit in terms of across the board, especially with, the game changing in terms of how physical it is, like where you can be physical. Teaching that early is just like so freaking important.
Well, and let's be honest too, like the world is getting soft and weak. We need to teach aggression, not unbridled murdering people in the street, but we need to teach the value of aggression. And because if you're being aggressive, it means you're doing. The world is run by doers and people that take action. And Toph and I talk about on this podcast all the time about how we should all be using hockey and youth sports in general as metaphors to help people have healthier, happier, more successful lives. And that is done by doing, not sitting around on your hands, waiting, hoping something is going to be gifted to you. That's not how the world works. So aggression is something we need to be instilling the right type of aggression into young players.
Well, and I think that no matter what it is in life, there's usually a winner and a loser in pretty much everything, whether it be sports and business or whatever else. Like there's certainly like there's enough room in the world for everyone to have success. But what does success look like to you? And I think in hockey, number one, how do you handle winning and how do you handle losing? Like if we can create battles and you lose your battle, do you sulk? Did that person, he cheated, whatever else? What's your response to that to then go back in line and do it again? Same thing if you win. So it's not about winning at all costs. It's like there's a winner and a loser. You're going to have another opportunity if you lose. Same thing when you win. Just because you won once doesn't mean that it's done. You have to keep winning over and over again. And that is something that I think we've lost a little bit of, not in our game as much, but maybe in just life in general. It's like everyone gets the trophy, and it's like it's okay. It's okay to lose. Like it is okay to lose. Like you are going to lose so many times in this life, and it's like if you don't allow a kid to learn how to handle losing at 8 or 10 or 12, what's going to happen the first time that they get told they're not good enough, or they don't get accepted to the college they wanted to go to, or the girlfriend breaks up with them, or whatever. Like, let's let our kids lose. Let's let our kids win. Like, it's okay. And that, to me, if we can create that at a younger age, we develop them as hockey players and we develop them as young men and women. Like, that's at the core of what I teach and believe.
Dude, when I have kids battle, young, old, NHL, college, junior, it literally doesn't matter what age. I look around the room before we start some kind of competition drill, and I'm like, look the guy across from you in the eye right now. I want you to want to murder this guy. I want you to win. And when you win, I want you to chirp him. And the loser, you've got to do blank. And literally, like, if they're not chirping the younger kids because like they're like softer, I'm like, no, chirp him right now. Chirp him. And then I'll talk about like, I don't want you to do that in the real world, but I want you to love winning so much. And I want the guy who's losing, I want you to hate losing so much that you want to get up and go again right now and try to win. And that other guy wants to stay on top. Like, I literally tell guys to chirp each other in the gym, and then I'll bring everybody over. Let's watch this battle right here.
Yeah, how much better is your energy level amongst them?
Then they go nuts and everybody's chirping everybody. Everybody wants to win, and I'm like,
We're literally going out to practice here in a few minutes, and I've got 2 teams set up. And they're going to basically play a small area games tournament for 45 minutes because they've been off the ice for 2 weeks. And they think that the lines that they have on the wall right now are like, they're going to get like bag skated or something, which I don't do the bag skates, but they're in teams. They're going to get on the ice. They're going to do their first 2 drills. And then they're going to think something really hard is coming. And it's going to be, hey, we've had 2 weeks off. Like, we're going to compete. And the kids are going to be drenched. They're going to be beating the shit out of each other, and it's going to be the quickest way for them to get back into game shape, and they're going to have a ton of fun doing it. And the losing team's going to have to untie winner's skates or bring them some skates or whatever. So I'm spot on. Like, I love that stuff.
Well, Brett, I feel like if either myself or my tattooed cousin over on the other side of the screen there, if one of us dies, you're probably next in line to being the host on this podcast.
I think anybody that loves this game for what it is and loves the great things about the game and really looks at it introspectively and not from I need to make money on this thing, they agree with everything that you guys talk about. And that, to me, is the difference. Like, you guys do this because you believe in the sport and you believe in the people that are around it. And, I'm certainly not perfect, and I make plenty of mistakes as a coach and with all of this stuff, but like, I've got what I believe in, and it aligns with what you guys are doing. And I'm super grateful to have a quick outlet here to be a part of this, but you guys are doing such great things. So keep it up. And hopefully this can become, the norm, not the exception.
Totally.
That, man.
Totally,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for those words, and keep doing a great job out there in LA. We're going to have to, Vex, we're going to have to come out and visit. I'm not going that way.
You're definitely, we don't have a lot of recurring guests on this show, but every one that we do is an absolute killer sniper, and you're on the list to come back, bro. 100%.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Sign me up. I will happily come back. I love chatting about this stuff, especially with people that I'm not debating about it for. There's some agreement. So sign me up. I'm in. You have to jump on the ice here to coach.
Yeah.
That's, but thank you guys for the platform. It was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for all you're doing for the game too. And yeah, we'll have you back on at some point again for sure. Thanks, man.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll talk soon.
Right. See ya.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.